For nearly 2 decades, Rachael Ray was one of the most recognizable faces on American television. Energetic, fast-talking, always moving around a kitchen with a wooden spoon in hand. She was the woman who convinced millions of people that a delicious meal could be on the table in 30 minutes. She had a daily talk show, a food magazine, a dog food line, multiple best-selling cookbooks, and an estimated net worth of around $100 million. She was, by every measure, one of the most successful culinary personalities in television history. Then, in late 2024, something shifted. A cooking video filmed in her kitchen in Tuscany, Italy appeared online. In it, Rachael stood by her stove wearing glasses, speaking casually, sharing memories from her early career. The financial struggles, the hustle, the years before any of the fame arrived. It was the kind of personal, unfiltered content that fans usually love. But within hours of posting, the comments weren't about the recipe or the story. They were about her. Viewers who had followed her for decades said they barely recognized her. Her face looked fuller. Her arms appeared heavier. Her movements were slower and more deliberate. And at certain moments in the video, her speech sounded slightly slurred. The internet did what the internet does. And within days, the speculation had taken on a life of its own. So what actually happened to Rachael Ray? The answer is more human, more layered, and more interesting than most of the theories circulating online. To understand where Rachael is now, it helps to go back to August 2020, a night that changed everything. Rachael and her husband, musician John Cusimano, were at their home in Lake Luzerne, New York, when a fire broke out. It started in the chimney and spread fast. By the time it was over, the house that had been central to her personal and professional life for years was gone. Personal belongings, memories, the physical space where so much of her life had taken place. Destroyed. The couple had to evacuate with almost nothing. The fire came during an already difficult period. The world was in the middle of a pandemic. Productions had shut down. And now her home was gone too. Rachael, to her credit, went live on Instagram almost immediately afterward to reassure her audience she was okay. But those who knew her personally understood that this was one of the most destabilizing moments of her life. It wasn't the first time danger had come close. In the late 1990s, before her television career had reached national scale, Rachael was the victim of 2 separate robberies within a short period. Those experiences left a lasting mark on her sense of personal safety and privacy. The 2020 fire reinforced something she had already begun to feel: that a quieter life, away from the noise and constant exposure, was what she actually wanted. Not long after the fire, she and John began spending significantly more time at their property in Tuscany. The Italian countryside offered exactly what the previous decade of daily television production had not: stillness. For 17 seasons, The Rachael Ray Show had defined her daily rhythm. The production schedule was relentless. Filming, travel, media appearances, desk coordination, all of it repeated week after week, year after year. She was also simultaneously managing a magazine, overseeing her dog food brand, writing cookbooks, and running a media operation. For someone who openly thrived on busyness, it was an empire built on momentum. When the show ended in 2023, the momentum stopped. Rachael launched her own independent media company, Free Food Studios, and began producing content on her own terms. Cooking videos filmed in her Tuscany kitchen, a series called Rachael Ray in Tuscany, and a project called Rachael Ray's Rebuild, focused on helping families and communities recover after natural disasters. She also began producing Meals in Minutes and other digital series. By early 2026, Free Food Studios had produced over 100 episodes of new content. But the most visible change was the format. Gone were the studio lights, the hair and makeup teams, the wardrobe stylists, and the carefully controlled television environment. In their place, a home kitchen, natural light, simple clothes, and no visible makeup. The woman viewers were now seeing was not the performance version of Rachael Ray. It was just Rachael Ray. For audiences who had only ever seen the polished, studio-produced version, the contrast was jarring. When the comments and speculation began spreading in late 2024 and into 2025, they moved quickly through social media. On X and YouTube, thousands of posts appeared within hours of each new video. Some were genuinely kind and concerned. Many were not. The theories ranged widely. Some users suggested autoimmune conditions: Crohn's disease, Graves' disease, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, pointing to facial fullness as a possible sign of steroid treatment for inflammation. Others focused on her speech, noting that it sounded slightly different at certain moments, and some posts directly suggested she might be recovering from a stroke, citing what they believed was a slight drop on one side of her mouth. These comments spread rapidly and were picked up by entertainment blogs and discussion forums, amplifying the speculation far beyond its origin point. A separate group argued that what everyone was seeing was simply aging. Rachael was in her late 50s during this period. Natural hormonal changes, including those associated with menopause, can affect metabolism, body weight, facial structure, and energy levels. Several commenters pointed out that female celebrities are routinely subjected to this kind of scrutiny in a way that male television personalities largely are not. That a man of the same age showing the same physical changes would rarely generate the same volume of commentary. All of it was speculation. And nearly all of it was wrong. Rachael eventually addressed the questions herself, publicly and directly. The speech issue, she explained, had a straightforward cause: a painful wisdom tooth. During an appearance at the Blue Moon Burger Bash in October 2025, she mentioned that she had been dealing with what she called a bum wisdom tooth, a dental problem that made it uncomfortable to move her jaw and tongue normally while speaking. Dental pain can subtly but noticeably affect the way a person enunciates, causing the kind of slight slurring that viewers had interpreted as something far more serious. The issue was temporary, not neurological, and not a stroke. The physical changes in her body had their own explanation. In interviews with outlets including People magazine and the New York Post, Rachael spoke about a series of falls she had experienced during 2024. She described them as a couple of bad falls, incidents that required a period of reduced physical activity while she recovered. For someone who had always been active, she talked openly about carrying firewood and managing physical chores around her rural properties herself. Even a few months of enforced rest could visibly change how she looked. Reduced movement, combined with the natural shifts that come with being in your late 50s, added up to a physical change that was obvious to people watching her on screen. She also addressed the broader question of why she looked different more generally. On an appearance on the Drew Barrymore show in October 2025, she was direct. She no longer feels pressure to look a certain way for television. She said she isn't trying to impress anyone except herself and the people close to her. After nearly 2 decades of maintaining a carefully polished public image, she had simply decided to stop. The second Tuscany video, posted around Mother's Day in May 2025, showed much the same thing as the first. Rachael in her home kitchen, relaxed and informal, speaking directly to the camera. Again, the discussion in the comments centered on her appearance rather than her message. One of the few in-person public events during this period was a charity gathering hosted by the North Shore Animal League America in June 2025. Attendees who saw her there reported that she appeared healthy and in good spirits. A few months later, at the New York City Wine and Food Festival in October 2025, she appeared alongside Brooklyn Beckham for a cooking segment, and observers described her as energetic and cheerful. Actively engaged, interacting with guests, and nothing like the fragile figure that online speculation had constructed. The gap between who Rachael actually appeared to be in person and who the internet had decided she was significant. There's a larger pattern worth naming here. Rachael Ray spent the better part of 2 decades being one of the most watched and most recognized women on American television. That kind of visibility comes with a particular kind of scrutiny. Every change in weight, every variation in voice, every slightly off moment filmed in natural light rather than studio conditions becomes something the internet feels entitled to analyze and diagnose. What the commentary around Rachael in 2024 and 2025 really revealed was less about her and more about how we treat women who age in public. A man of the same age, stepping back from a long television career filming casual cooking videos from his home in Italy without makeup or styling, would be described as authentic, down to earth, refreshingly real. The same choices in a woman generate thousands of comments about illness, decline, and whether something might be wrong with her. Rachael Ray is not declining. She's not hiding. She's not sick with some undiagnosed condition that a stranger on social media correctly identified from a home video. She is a woman in her late 50s who survived a house fire, recovered from a series of physical falls, ended a 17-year television run on her own terms, moved to Italy, and is now making the exact content she wants to make for an audience that follows her because they choose to. As of early 2026, Free Food Studios is active and producing. New episodes of her digital series continue to release. Rachael Ray's rebuild moves forward with its mission of helping disaster-affected communities. Her podcast, while on pause, could return. She continues to move between New York and Tuscany. She and John, married since 2005, remain close. What changed about Rachael Ray is real. But it's not a tragedy. It's a woman who built something enormous, kept it going for longer than most people could, walked away when she was ready, and is now living on her own terms in a farmhouse in Italy. The question the internet kept asking, what happened to her, has a simple answer. She grew older. She got hurt. She slowed down. She stopped pretending. She kept working. That's not something to worry about. That's just a life.